Wife and I have been married 18 years. We have our 16-year-old daughter, who has been dating a slightly shy and awkward young man for around 3 or 4 months now. He seems very nervous around my daughter and has admitted in a passing comment here and there to my wife and I that he can't believe she agreed to date him and he thinks she's way out of his league. He seems very respectful, just shy. My wife is usually an independent, awesome woman, and her ideals align closely with mine, particularly in terms of feminism and equality. We have both striven to raise our daughter to be as independent and capable as possible. Since my daughter has been dating this kid, my wife has changed considerably and has given our daughter advice that has left me with raised brows more than once. Some of the advice I've heard my wife give is, "Oh, it's cute for boys to pay for everything, especially in your first relationship." Or, "Oh, honey, don't worry about that, he can pay for you, if he really liked you, he would," and similar. I've tried to balance this out by telling my daughter straight away 2 people in a partnership should be contributing equally, and my personal favorite, if someone asks if they can take you out to dinner, it's reasonable to expect them to pay, but if someone asks you to grab dinner with them, it's reasonable to split the payment. I figured that would be an easy way for a young person to understand the difference. However, I've noticed my daughter becoming more and more entitled with her boyfriend's money. They haven't been anywhere obviously since we're home, but the way she talks about him, "Oh, I'll just ask him to pay for X etc." leaves a bad taste in my mouth. She has also flippantly bragged or mentioned that she gets him to buy gift cards for her etc. by mentioning her mother's advice, for example, "If you really liked me, you'd pay for X." I spoke to my wife privately and told her my concerns. She insists it's a rite of passage for girls, and it's cute that she should feel a guy is completely spoiling her. I told her that it's not cute for her to be thinking it's acceptable to view relationships as personal ATMs, and my wife became very angry with me and is now calling me an idiot with a lot of hostility. Not the idiot. Your wife is sending your daughter some very damaging messages. The last thing your daughter needs to be learning at this age is shallow manipulation and equating material things with affection. It sounds like your wife might be trying to create her idea of the perfect first relationship for your daughter. Maybe your wife had a bad first relationship. Whatever her motivations, I think it should be discussed over and over and over with your wife and daughter until they both stop seeing this boy as a prop in your daughter's life and as an actual human being with feelings. Not the idiot. Your wife is teaching your daughter that she is a commodity that can be purchased. Quite frankly, it sounds like your daughter is taking advantage of an earnest, if an awkward, young man. Imagine being his parents and finding out his first girlfriend is essentially using him as an ATM. This isn't just about your daughter learning how she should expect to be treated in a relationship, he is also learning how he should expect to be treated. OP, I hope you have a good talk with your daughter and your wife. Did she act this way when she was dating you? Ask yourself this and ask her, did she view you the same? Did she marry you for financial security? This behavior isn't cute. This reinforces unhealthy mentalities for everybody. Men who view women as gold diggers, etc. The boy who agrees with this mentality may lead to financial abuse of your daughter, withholding money, demanding he see her bank account information, spending money on things they don't need with her money, or from a joint account. I'm a manager of a tight-knit department. For whatever reason, we've had several people from my department start dating, even get married. The corporate policy used to say you couldn't date your coworkers, but it happened so often and they couldn't enforce it, so they just have people who want to date each other sign a form saying it's consensual, it won't distract the working environment, etc. I have no idea if that's legally enforceable, but we haven't had any problems with it, except for recently, obviously. One thing that I always make clear to my employees is that I don't want to hear about their relationship drama and I don't want it to affect work. It's one thing if someone was abusive or is harassing you, then you take it to HR, but if they're texting their ex-girlfriend or some crap, keep that fight at home. I used to have 2 employees, a married couple, who had the same role. For example, they were both technicians, but the wife was definitely better at her job than her husband. She was someone I felt like was constantly stepping up and went beyond the standard, someone who could certainly take on a leadership role. Her husband was a fine worker, just average I guess. Last year, she cheated on him, and it was an absolute crap show. I know because the husband tried to do one of those expose the cheater things during a casual work party, which was incredibly awkward for everyone else there. I told him not to bring relationship drama into the workplace, as per the form he signed, and he told me that she started it by cheating and that I should fire her for being a cheater. I said I wouldn't fire her, he kept insisting, ultimately said it was him or her, and when I did not fire her, he quit. Like yes, cheating is bad, but I'm her employer, not her boyfriend. I just need her to do her job, not stick to her wedding vows. Do I think she's an idiot for cheating? Yes. Is she an amazing employee who I still think has a lot of potentials? Yes. Her coworkers seem to have gotten over the incident, although I cannot even begin to tell you how awkward it was during the first month. She has a great relationship with everyone else here and is pleasant and kind to be around. Cheaters can still be leaders. Anyways, I'm posting here because the guy came back and asked for his job back because he couldn't find a job after COVID hit. His position is still open. I just don't want to add that drama into our workplace, even if he is the victim. I said he couldn't have his job back, but I'd give him a reference to another place, and he called me an idiot because I was choosing the cheater over the victim. He was having a hard time during COVID, and he was ruined by the divorce. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I would not trust him, not to stir crap up again, if he came back. I'm sorry that he got cheated on, and I'm sorry that he is struggling. But he chose to bring his relationship drama to the office, in defiance of an agreement he signed. He tried to use his relationship drama to pressure you into firing a good employee, and he chose to quit without having a new job lined up, I might add, which is a stupid move. Don't pull a power move when you don't have any power. My married ex got a job at my workplace. Long story short, I made sure to have limited interaction beyond civility. He did need my help with initiation and policy, sometimes because I was HR and I did my best, but he tried dealing with the awkwardness by telling me, texting me, jokes which I politely shut down each time. A month into the job, he asked my boss for permission to work from home because his wife was uncomfortable with him working with his ex. My boss said no, so he quit. He was terrible at the job anyway. Not the idiot, he's straight up causing a hostile work environment with this. Yes, I feel for him when it comes to how hurt he must have felt when he got cheated on, but you don't start affecting other people's lives and the whole office's morale just because of a personal matter. He's either dumb enough to think him causing scenes in a professional environment is acceptable behavior, or desperate enough that he's just lashing out. I really hope it's the former, and whatever job and relationship he moves on to next are a healthier fit for him, but that's not going to be your place. It's definitely the weirdest situation that's come up during our relationship. I would not consider her weird or atypical by any means. We both are very normal and average, so at first, I didn't believe her and thought she was joking when she said she liked the name George for our daughter. This came after we'd been discussing traditional girl names for our daughter, so it wasn't even like she'd been considering anything gender neutral previously. There was no reason in particular for wanting to use George other than she liked it because it would be unique and she thought it would be cute. I disagree on both fronts, but more importantly, I was against it because it's going to lead to a lifetime of bullying. I can see our daughter hating us when she's older for forcing her to deal with a name that made her a target for bullies, and she would be within her rights if she did. I told my wife my objections, but she insisted that we name our daughter George and kept aggressively trying to change my mind. That is when I said that only a lunatic would think naming a girl George is a good idea. I have tried to backtrack some by pointing out that I never directly called her a lunatic, but only said that someone who thinks it's a good idea is one, but that hasn't made any difference. The thing is, I still do believe that it's a crazy thing to want to do and borderline parental negligence. I don't think a rational person would do it knowing the child will be the one to take the brunt of the pushback. Maybe I shouldn't have said it, but sometimes the truth hurts, and we need to be called out when we're so far out of line, which is what I thought I was doing here after she refused to listen to my concerns. Things aren't great right now, but I'm still not sure if I did anything wrong here, so I want to know if I am the idiot. Gonna be blunt here, you are the idiot because you're backtracking screwed. You never play the technically card. Own up that you called her a lunatic. Your apology is insincere, so you guys are getting hung up on that. That way, you can get back to how she's a lunatic and is going to ruin her daughter's life. Sam or Morgan would be better if the idea is to give them a gender-neutral name. If that isn't the point, she's just setting your daughter up for a lifetime of bullying and resentment towards her parents that made her suffer. Everyone's the idiot here. Both parents should get a say in the name. If you said no, then she should stop pushing and move on. That being said, as many others have stated, George can be pretty gender neutral and nowhere near as odd as some names are nowadays. Also, kids will always find a way to make fun of someone. You could pick the most normal name possible, and a determined bully will find a way to twist it. For example, someone in another sub said she and her husband named her daughter Julia and she thought it was tease-proof. Welp, the baby is teething, and the dad called her Drulia. Everyone's the idiot here. You did call your wife a lunatic, but also both parents need to agree on a name. George isn't as odd as you think for a girl, and I bet, if you dig deeper you'll find your wife may want to give your daughter a traditionally masculine name. I have a feminine name, but my nickname is a male name. I can't fully articulate the extreme difference in the way people treat and behave towards Philomena Davis versus Phil Davis, not my real name, but you get the picture, in the workplace and the world in general. This happened last week. Daughter is 14. She came home escorted by a local cop who said she was caught shoplifting expensive chocolates from a fancy grocery store a few blocks over. He said the owner had seen her lift a few small things over the past 2 years, like makeup or candy and things, and this time he finally caught her in the act. Thankfully owner's not pressing charges but banned her and us from his store, which is whatever since I never shop there anyways. So my husband and I give her a reprimand. She cries and apologizes, and I'm like, good. You've learned your lesson. This is over. Well, my husband refuses to let this go. He's convinced there's something wrong with her and she needs therapy. I think he's overreacting. I shoplifted when I was a dumb teenager too, although no one ever caught me. In fact, everyone I grew up with stole something at one point or another. It's part of being a teenager. It doesn't mean you're going to live a life of crime. It's just being a teenager. However, my husband grew up incredibly sheltered and privileged, and I'm sure in his circles no one ever nabbed a 50c lip balm from a corner store. I tell him it's enough, that we've grounded her, but he freaks out and thinks we need to find professional help for her stealing habit. I finally put my foot down and said no, she's being a normal kid, and as long as she doesn't do it again and get herself in even more trouble she'll be fine. Am I the idiot? I feel a bit bad shutting my husband down like that, but I felt like enough was enough at that point. You're the idiot. Could therapy hurt? Maybe you believe stealing is normal, but it's really not. Acting out periodically as a teenager is, but just in case there's something more going on, what's the harm in therapy and giving your daughter someone else to talk through the feelings that are causing her to act out? Obviously, this has been going on for 2 years. Try therapy in case this behavior turns into something worse. And in my opinion, you should not dismiss your husband's perspective out of hand. You're the idiot. You have some really weird ideas about what therapy is, like it's some horrible thing you only need if something is really wrong with you. Your kid has been acting out in this way for several years, could it hurt for her to talk to someone about why she's been doing it? Teenagers get up to lots of things for lots of reasons, and therapy is often beneficial when they get up to things that aren't healthy. And most teenagers do not have a shoplifting habit. You're the idiot. Yes, shoplifting happens especially when you are a young teen. Once here, twice there. Then they decide to stop when it no longer feels right. But you also said the owner has noticed this ongoing the last 2 years. This could also be happening at other places. If husband feels strongly about it, consider one session of therapy for the therapist to determine whether there are underlying issues that led to this and may mean more to come, or whether it's just teen greed and lesson learned. On Sunday at around 3 a.m., I received a call from my 16-year-old daughter Brittany saying that she snuck out of the house and needed me to pick her up. She told me that she was a little drunk and that the friend who drove her left her behind and that more people were showing up at the party and she was uncomfortable. I begrudgingly told her sure and to wait for me somewhere safe. I picked her up and got fast food with her so we could have time to talk without waking up the house. I told her how disappointed I was and that what she did wasn't fair to me since I have to work. She profusely apologized and told me that she wouldn't sneak out of the house again. However, she begged me not tell her mom because she is ridiculously strict with types of things and I do sympathize with her as she is a teen, so these types of things will happen no matter. I also was afraid that if I told her mom that she would never trust me again and feel like that could be dangerous in case she ever needed help, like now. So things were fine until Monday night when my wife saw a picture of the party on Instagram and Brittany was in it. My wife lost her mind and started to interrogate Brittany about what she was doing, who was there, etc. She got really mad at her and made Brittany cry and go to her room. The problem though was that my wife asked how Brittany got there and back, and she told the truth. Now my wife is infuriated with me for not telling her. She got even more mad when I told her why I didn't. I said that I knew how she would react, that I didn't want to break Brittany's trust, and how protecting her safety, I want her to call me when she's in those situations, was more important than us telling each other everything. She stormed off too, and we haven't really spoken much since then. Am I the idiot? Also to note, we're in a country where social gatherings are still allowed, so she wasn't mad about the COVID aspect. No idiots here. This whole situation is pretty much about balancing trust with honesty. It's not an easy situation, and I understand both your daughter not wanting her mother to know and the mother being mad about Brittany breaking the rules. She did break them after all. The mother being mad at you for not telling her is also understandable. You concealed an important fact that she had the right to know. Your daughter is a teenager, so her sneaking out at night is normal. I think there needs to be a conversation between the three of you about boundaries rules in your household. You're the idiot. Does your wife trust you now? I'm guessing the answer is hell no. I don't think that's why you didn't tell your wife. You can let your daughter know you will always be there to pick her up if things go wrong and she feels unsafe. I think that you and your wife wouldn't agree on discipline, and you thought it would just be easier for you if you didn't tell her. Your daughter snuck out of the house to go to a party she didn't have permission to go to. She didn't get disciplined, but instead was rewarded with fast food and a nice chat. Will that deter her from such a thing again? No idiots here. I agree with every reason you said. You keeping your daughter safe and trying to not break her trust was really important. I grew with parents like you and your wife, knowing I could trust my dad no matter what helped me a lot. I still call my dad whenever I feel troubled and I never hide anything from him. On the other hand, she is your wife's daughter as well and she needed to know. I understand her frustration. You should have talked to your daughter and convinced her to tell the mom in the morning or evening after the party. It would be better for everyone.